Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. This is Tucker, also known as Haggard, back with another episode of Tucked In here Wednesday, October 8th. Today, we're going to be checking out the equity markets. We're going to look at the indices, the VIX, some individual names. I just wanted to switch it up a little bit from just crypto and check out what things are doing on the equity side. So, make sure to hit the like and subscribe. We always appreciate when you guys do that. And let's dive into the video, guys. Let's dive in. So firstly, wanted to start here on the S&P. Let's go to the weekly chart, blank chart, of course. Kind of not a ton to talk about here with the S&P, actually, even though it is one I wanted to start with. We'll draw a few lines here and whatnot, but I think there's really nothing stopping the S&P right now. I mean, it looks incredible, right? We've got this little area of what is now support. Since we're above the point of control and the value area high, we're not quite to the 1618 of this recent drop. So for me, this does have some room to run, right? At least another, let's see, percentage wise, at least another 3%. Shouldn't be too hard to accomplish. At which point we could get a little local pullback and then keep going. But the S&P is an absolute monster right now. And kind of like we were talking about on market check today, I don't want to be one to just start calling pullbacks on the S&P when it's, when the chart looks like this, right? Like during one of these grind up phases, trying to short the market or trying to call for pullbacks is just not fruitful, right? It's definitely not fruitful. So I think this thing is going to keep grinding higher. I really don't think there's much stopping it at this point. And it's kind of the same story for our tech brother, QQQ. Let's pull the same lines and just check on this. Still not to the 1618. I bet it has the very similar volume profile. Yeah, it does. Let's pull it from here. Yeah, sitting on top of support, grinding up. MAs look great. MAs look great. So there is something to be said, I think, when you get a little too far extended from this, the quickest EMA here. When you get a little too far extended, which we could be right now, which is why if we do want to anticipate any price action, aka a pullback, it would be into the 1618 for me and then into this line. So, and then a bounce out and continue. So that's kind of my thoughts on QQ. A little bit higher, a little bit lower, but eventually a lot higher. So that's my thought for QQQ. Quickly wanted to run through IWM. If you guys caught market check, we did some pretty good IWM analysis today in relation to crypto and altcoins, but we're just going to look at it standalone for the moment. Standalone. So here's my initial thoughts on the IWM. There was the previous all-time high. This actually was a sweep. At this point, we're just grinding through it. I don't know. I think we need to solidly be above it to really look for a lot higher. Technically, we're in price discovery, right? Technically, but I would like to see it break through with a little more gusto. Like back here, I know this was COVID, but you want to see this thing kind of gap above almost and then just start running, and we haven't really seen that yet. We've just seen it kind of grind into it. So I'm going to mark out some previous all-time high breaks. That was COVID. This one here, this was 2015, 2016. This really like gapped above, right? Like just big candle through it, gapped above, ground up, kept going up, right? We're kind of at that point where it's either we're going to put in a candle like this and gap above and do this, or we're just going to kind of continue to grind up. But I really don't see a great case to be made for downside on small caps at this point, especially with more rate cuts and probably an easing of QT coming over the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months. So I think and we know markets are forward looking. So I think the outlook on the IWM is pretty positive. So, I mean, first I'd like to see as a psychological number, 250, 260 cleared. But ultimately, if I pull these fib, I'm going to pull a little more macro fib on this, actually. Let's pull it from here. Right around 300, I think we're going to have probably a little bit of a pullback. 294, it says, but I think it's pretty clear skies until we get there, honestly. So, but in addition to those, right, I mean, I think generally equities look bullish. Like I said, rate cuts and then easing of QT is most likely coming over the next 6 to 12 months. So with the forward-looking nature of markets, they should continue higher. But yeah, did want to look at some individuals that I've been looking at. So this is NVO, Novo Nordisk. I think they're from Denmark, but they make GLP-1s. and which is like Ozempic and stuff like that. So I don't think that industry is really going anywhere. Obviously, they had a big run up when Ozempic first came out. They've since pulled back into pretty good support. Visually, just looking at the chart, to me, it seems like it's probably going to need some more of this, right? I don't think we're just going to go vertical, but I think this is probably a decent long-term play. Like I said, I don't think this industry is going anywhere. More of a fundamental play, but also the chart, I think looks pretty good, at least for sideways and then up. But let me throw some of these on. Yeah, the safer play here definitely would be to wait till you flip this top EMA, which right now is sitting at $70. The stock is sitting at 59. I mean, I think you could, best case scenario, you could kind of push up into this, right? At that point, I would expect a rejection and some more consolidation before we start something like that. But yeah, kind of my initial thoughts there. A decent looking fundamental play in the equity markets. So I'm a fan of that. Wanted to check out Circle. Obviously, they are the USDC issuer. They're sitting at like 13 billion market cap, I think, maybe 15 now, something like that. But I think buying the blood of the IPO, right? This is probably a decent play. I don't know. I just think it's severely undervalued. If USDC is actually going to be what it could be, then I think, again, this is a decent little equity market fundamental play. Just going to mark this up a little bit. This is kind of what I see locally. And again, visually, just looking at it, we could use some more of this, right? Maybe go into November before we actually start moving, but it is trying to bottom out, right? We are setting higher highs and higher lows down here. So that is what you want to see. But I don't think there's any reason that the issuer of the second largest stablecoin in the world should be valued at 13 bill. I think it should be valued a lot higher, in my opinion. So I think it's probably a decent pickup around here, if not slightly lower. I mean, ideally would hold this range at 143, 140, and not re-enter, because this would be a little bit ugly, right? But I don't know. I think over the long term, I think it's gonna pan out. So that's another one I just wanted to look at. Let's see. Let's check on Coinbase real quick, guys. Want to check on Coinbase. Big fan of these kind of crypto adjacent equities. But I think Coinbase actually looks pretty ready. It looks pretty ready. I like how it's holding these moving averages. I like the candle it's putting in today, actually, after this big green one. We kind of we gapped up, sold off, and now we're kind of sucking that candle back up. You know, if I'm looking at this and I want to pull a fib, it's here basically. So it's about $600, 575. So I don't know. This just looks coiled to me. It kind of looks like low time frame Robinhood price action pre launchpad. You know, kind of looks like ARK, kind of looks like Robinhood. This kind of rounding bottom and then higher highs and higher lows. So I think there's probably a play to be made there on Coinbase. And if I were to set up a little leverage trade, which I don't do really, but it would be something like this, right? Put the stop below the low and, you know, where's that fib at? Right about here. So not the craziest RR, but I think there's definitely something there. There's definitely something. If not spot, then something. But obviously the Bitcoin miners we can look at a little bit, MSTR as well. Not the greatest weekly candle shaping up, but as long as it continues putting in higher highs and higher lows on a weekly chart, your next, you know, assumption would be at least there, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I think we do need this to hold up to some degree for the rest of crypto to do well, but you know, aka I just wouldn't want to see this thing start nuking, right? But I think chop is fine for the time being. Mara looks ready. Riot looks more than ready. I mean, Riot looked ready back here. You know, Riot looked ready back here. So part of this move is probably been missed, but they split. No, they haven't split at all. So this is still possible, right? Whenever you see that and you see their split, that's usually not possible anymore. But you know, what is that, a 4x from here? I mean, I do not think that's out of the question, especially with the way this bottoming formation kind of looks, you know. So maybe up into here, retrace. These things go parabolic, man. They really do. They really do. So Riot does look primed, but yeah, anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of do a quick update on the equity markets, go through some individuals, look at the indices, see what's going on, and how it relates to crypto. So even though Bitcoin and ETH and Sol have been having a little bit of a bloodbath recently, and you know, I think the equity markets are still primed for higher and should continue to float crypto higher over the next weeks and months as well. So I actually like when it's a crypto specific pullback and the equity markets don't pull back, right? So yeah, I think things still look pretty primed for Q4 for crypto and for these equities in general. So anyways, that's it for me today, guys. That is it for me. I will catch you guys next week for another episode of Tucked In. Don't forget to go hit the like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.